Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create your very own custom React hook. A custom hook is a function that lets you reuse stateful logic across different components. This can help simplify your code and make it more efficient. We'll start with the basics of creating a custom hook and then move on to more advanced features that you can use to create even more powerful hooks. By the end of this video, you'll be able to create custom hooks that you can use in your own React application. Now before we do get started, be sure that you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and if you have any comments, make sure you leave them in the comment section. Let's continue with our video. Now there are a few things that you need to know before we continue. First, you need to have a basic understanding of React and how it works. If you're not familiar with React, I have a tutorial that teaches beginners on the basics and the fundamentals of React. I will leave this video in the card above. And then you need a code editor like VS Code. You need to have Node.js installed in your computer. If you don't have any of these tools, you can download them for free. I'll provide the links in the description box below. Now, in creating our custom hooks, first we need to start off by seeing how a regular project works. Now what I've done here, this is a basic React project that I have cold started with Vite. If you're not familiar with Vite, I'll leave a video in the card above. So this is a basic project. What I've done here is that I've managed to import posts from this JSON placeholder. JSON placeholder, for many of you who've not watched my previous tutorials, is a fake API for testing and prototyping. And what they help us with is that they provide fake data that we can use. Now I'm using this fake data over here that you see. This is a hypothetical of somebody's posts. So these are like posts that you would put on like Facebook and stuff. And in this JSON array, or this JSON item that you see over here, we have the body of the post, we have the title of the post, we have the IT, not sure what this stands for, and then we have the user ID. But the only thing we're going to utilize here is the title and the body of this JSON item, or this JSON object, sorry. And then in our project over here, what we're trying to do is that we are importing those posts that you're seeing over there, and we are presenting them in our application. Now, this is how you would normally do it the regular way. You would create a use effect hook over here, and then you would use fetch in order to get those posts. And then after getting those posts, you would set those posts inside of a use state hook. So you're using two hooks in this instance. Let me get rid of this because we're no longer need it. So like I said, you use the use effect hook in order to get those posts before anything is rendered, and then after that you set those posts inside of this use state hook that you're seeing over here. So now what we're trying to do is that we're trying to get rid of this logic and just like put it somewhere else so that we can just like put a one-liner over here and we don't have to worry about much of the syntax. It's much easier to handle because if there's anything wrong, we can just go to one place and figure out what could be the problem. Now in order to create our custom React hook, we need to start off by defining what our problem is that we're trying to solve. In this example, we want to create a hook that fetches data from an API and returns it to our component. This way, we can reuse this logic across multiple components without having to repeat the code each time. Now I'm going to create a folder over here and I'm going to call it hooks. And this is where we're going to put our React hooks. And the first React hook that we're going to create, we're going to call it useFetch. To create the custom hook, we'll start off by defining a function. So, like I said, we're going to call it useFetch, like this. And it needs to take an argument, and the argument that we're going to take in is the URL. And then we're going to create a custom useState hook where we're going to store our data. So this essentially means that at any time you want to fetch data from an API, you are going to be able to use this custom hook over here. Sorry, this is supposed to be useState. There we go. First of all, we're going to start off with nothing inside of our data. And then we're going to put our useEffect hook inside of that, the exact same way that we did it in our previous video, like this. There you go. Then after that, this custom hook is going to return the data. So what's going to happen is that each time we need to import something from an API, like I said, we're going to use this custom hook that you're seeing over here. And it's going to use this API to fetch data from this URL, and it's going to take this data and put it inside of a useState hook, and then after that we're going to return the data. In this code snippet, like you're seeing, we're importing the useState and the useEffect hooks from React. We define our useFetch function, which takes a URL parameter that tells it where to fetch the data from. Inside of our hook, we define a data state variable using the useState hook. We use the useEffect hook to fetch the data from the API when the component mounts. When the data is fetched, we update the state using setData function. Finally, we return an object that contains the data state variable. Now we can use this custom hook in our component. Now instead of having all this code that you're seeing over here, we're going to get rid of it like this. And then we're just going to have one line like you see over there. But we need to first import this at the very top. Use fetch. I guess we didn't export it, so that's what we need to do. Export default useEffect. Like that. And now we can import it. useFetch, sorry. There we go. And instead of having our data, we're going to call this, oh yeah, this is our data. So I'm going to change this from post to data like this. Alright, so let's just understand a little bit about what's happening here. Number one, we import the useFetch hook from our usefetch.js files. In the app component, we call the useFetch hook and pass in the URL of the API we want to fetch data from. The useFetch hook handles the API request and returns the data that it receives. We destructure the data variable from the object that is returned by the useFetch hook. If the data variable is null or undefined, we display a loading message to the user. Now, if the data variable contains an array of objects like we expect it to, these objects are displayed to our browser. Now, let's prepare for the possibility that the data that is retrieved is actually null in this case. So what we do, we come over here and we just say data, and this is sort of like an error handling on our part, so that we only display this only when our data has some items inside. So if the data variable contains an array of objects, those objects or that information is displayed. Let's go back to our browser and actually see, as you can see over here, our data is being returned as we expected to. So the main advantage of using a custom hook like this is that it allows you to use stateful logic across different components. So you not only can use this in this component over here, but you can use it across all components. So now you don't have to keep doing this over and over again. You can just simply use this simple hook that you're seeing over here. In this example, we're able to reuse the logic for fetching data from an API in multiple components without having to duplicate the code. This can make your code more efficient, easier to read, and simpler to maintain. Additionally, custom hooks can be shared across multiple projects and can even be published as reusable packages for other developers to use. This can help save time and effort in the long run and also promote code consistency across your project. That's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. If you've learned something new or if you've enjoyed this video, please do like it. And if you haven't subscribed, then make sure you subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.